What's up, guys? Today is Pi Day, P-I Day, not P-I-E, which is why I'm wearing this math shirt, because it's obviously a math term. I'm sure pi is somewhere in there. But basically, a couple weeks ago, I reached out to a couple Harvard math professors, and one of them reached back out to me and invited me to his house. So I went over, we talked about pi and other general math things, and he actually didn't want to be filmed. So I did my best to make this video watchable. He let me film myself asking him the questions, but obviously didn't frame it right, as you will see. So hopefully you guys liked what I did with the video. Enjoy, and happy Pi Day. You know, again, I'm very flattered that you invited me, because it just seems like you're almost like the Michael Jordan of math. You know, it's a very accomplished...
I was once mistaken for Michael Jordan.
In general, I'm fascinated by people that have, take an interest in math and do that as a profession, because, in my personal life, I was kind of trying to do something that didn't have anything to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
So
avoidance is known as.
Yeah. So how did you actually get into math?
Well, I was always interested in, my parents used to go to a particular resort for the Passover holidays, and there was a guy there who was sort of a mathematician manqué. So he put me in touch with a couple of books, which basically changed my life.
So because it's Pi Day, if you can elaborate a little bit about what pi is.
Well, there are many things about pi that people don't know. Pi is basically related to the area of a circle as opposed to its radius. So the number pi was something that even the Greeks knew about. But one of the striking things about pi is that it's an irrational number. Most people don't know that. Pi can never be expressed as a quotient of two integers, which means it can never be expressed exactly as some finite decimal. And I think this fact is probably not even comprehensible to most people today. I mean, my guess is that if you pick a random selection of members of the United States Supreme Court, they won't even know what you're talking about when you say this. So that's the most amazing fact about pi.
So how does somebody calculate that something can't be calculated? Like, how can you calculate forever?
That is a good question. First actual proof of this fact made a heavy use of the integral calculus. So you can't really understand this proof unless you know differential and integral calculus.
So a lot of the things that I guess your findings, and even in speaking right now, I guess the majority of society won't fully understand.
Correct.
Is that something?
Won't care about.
Is that something that bothers you in any way?
Not at all.
Do you ever feel like there's a correlation at all with, the value of something versus the value that that other people have for it? Well,
No, in that sense, I'm self-motivated.
Do you ever feel like cursed by knowledge in any way? Like
I don't know what that means.
Like, is there such thing as being too smart?
Not that I know about. I wish I was smarter.
One of the things that I believe is, like, uncertainty is the greatest disease. Not knowing something is cause for a lot of stress. I was wondering, is that the reason why you decided to pursue mathematics, the pursuit for certainty, for knowing absolute truth?
Well, I'm not sure that actually is quite the right way of putting it. There is a world of mathematics. And although Aviva and I have fights about this all the time, I believe that the world of mathematics is the only real world. All of this other stuff, including you and this house and the snowstorm, are sort of more or less imaginary objects. And therefore, I like to be associated with the real world to the best that I can. This is known as Platonism among the philosophers.
Is any mathematical insight that you found that can, would be good to everybody else, I guess, in the imaginary world?
Well, the one thing that I found is that Aviva and I have had a wonderful, happy marriage for 55 years. And it's based on the fact that she does not know anything about mathematics, and I know nothing about painting.
That's actually a beautiful insight, because actually my girlfriend and I, we do the same thing.
Isn't there a rule against this?
Well, given the amount of hours that we work, it's actually encouraged in the advertising business because people
Stay at work instead of going out on a date.
basically
Cheap date, basically.
yeah, cheap date. But we try as much as we can to never discuss work when we get home. There's that concept that there's a right brain, left brain thinking, and some people are creative and some people are logical, and I don't know that makes
contradictory.
yeah. Well, I don't think that there's mutually exclusive,
right?
Because I'm creative. I would hate to think that that's a logical thing, but so I'm wondering, is there room for creativity in math?
Absolutely, that's what I do. That's what I get paid for. I don't get paid for teaching a few kids in college. I get paid for creating new math.
I mean, what's your ultimate goal that you wish to accomplish?
To do what I've been doing. Whatever day comes along that I can continue to be creative or learn something new, that's a bonus. My major areas of research would be things which are far too technical. There was a very famous physicist, and he wrote down a formula, and I've known this formula for about 60 some odd years, but I've never until very recently understood why this formula works. And there was some colleague whom I just met over the internet who has finally produced a beautiful probabilistic argument to show why this formula is true, that I've been excited about because it's something that I really was looking for and had never found for 60 years.
I know that there's something called the Millennium Award, which is for solving, I guess, unsolved problems. Is that something that that you are interested in at all, or
no? Well, I don't have any interest in awards or honors.
I agree 100% with that. There's, I feel like the advertising industry is probably one of the most self-serving in terms of having award shows all the time, and I try to have no value in that, and just be happy day to day with the work that I do. The greatest thing about mathematics is blank.
It's fun.